What's up, Patreon? What's happening, everybody? YouTube, all my people, man. So the question is astrology in the Bible, right? So I'm only going to deal with really 3 points, okay? And I'm going to bring a point from the Holy Quran as well, okay? Because the question could be, is astrology even in the Holy Quran, all right? And so, of course, you know I'm going to say the answer is yes, and I'm going to show and prove it. But before I get into the actual science, I want to say this. I'm going to try to keep this video short. Man, I love being, because I'm in the state of gratitude, okay? So I love the fact that I'm in the space and time where I can understand this and I can really relate. And I'm just so grateful that I'm born of the phenotype and the ancestral memory of certain civilizations. Now, let me preface this. Just because you're black, just because you are a certain phenotype, don't automatically make you a part of this particular tribe. You got, and you know this, you got certain people that's your kinfolk or your skin folk, but they ain't your kinfolk, right? And it's very interesting because when old girl played in the Woman King, right? Viola Davis played in the Woman King. The Dahomey tribe, from my understanding, was actually a part of enslaving their people who looked just like them. And that's very interesting because in the Western culture, Dahomey is the homie. But we say D-A, duh. Hey man, that's the homie right there. Chill out, that's the homie, right? But the homies be on some BS. We know this, right? So we know that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, okay? And so I'll also say this, that the reason why you may have an affinity towards certain schools, whether it be Egyptian, whether it be Moorish, whatever the case may be, which I'm gonna get into those two in a minute, is because you have a genetic memory that's there. Reality has shown us that there are people who have went into comas and come out of a coma speaking an entirely foreign language, something they never learned in this lifetime. This has happened this is documented on the news, okay? So I'm gonna tell you that your soul is so vast and so infinite that you have some spiritual / religious, but let's call it spiritual. You have some spiritual undertones that's inside of your DNA. And this is the reason why you are drawn to certain things, and you should really trust that inner voice, that higher self, the God within, and follow that out, okay? Now, for me, there's 2 schools of thoughts that I absolutely come from. One is the Egyptian school. We're talking about a magnificent place. These people literally built pyramids to point at stars, but it just wasn't about building the pyramid to the star. The pyramid itself represents an internal psychological process in the brain because we have cells called pyramidal cells, okay? And the reason that they're pointing at stars is because we also have stars in our body and in our brain called astrocytes. Astro meaning star, okay? Astrocytes. You should see this, okay? And so that's proven. So the pyramids point to the stars is really talking about an internal psychological process that the human being is going through. But it don't take away anything from the actual constellation that it's talking about or pointing to, because the constellation in of itself has a certain energy, a certain frequency that's being emitted that can help you advance and that can help you regress. Some of them are positive radiations, some of them are negative radiations, okay? So I love this particular school. I remember I got a past life reading done before, and I remember a person just flat out told me don't know me from anything. It just told me, hey man, one of your lines, one of your lineages in your soul goes back to being a young acolyte priest in the temple of Luxor. You know what I'm saying? So very interesting. And it's funny because the name Anpu, I had that name before, years before I met this particular person. And to kind of see that validated through that particular skill set was just something more of a confirmation. Now, the second school is Moorish Spain. This era right here, 1711, 1492, this era is a monster when it comes to knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. Your first university in the world is considered to be in Fez, Morocco. Okay, we're talking about the creation of algebra. We talking about mapping the heavens. Woo! We talking about even naming the negative entities associated with the heavens. And I won't give you what that is. You know, you got to be on the inside to kind of get that, because that's a different type of study. You know, but I'm talking about a civilization where all of the sciences of botany, water irrigation, public bath houses, you know, just the culture was so rich. This was considered the Islamic golden age and a Jewish golden age. And the only people who don't count it as a golden age out of the Abrahamic religions are the Christians. And that's because the Christians didn't have political control. Islam had political control at that time, but Christianity was something that was practiced as well. So these three Abrahamic religions had prospered a great deal under Islamic leadership, whereas under Christian leadership at that time, they get rid of the Jews, they get rid of the Muslims. Okay, and then don't get me wrong, there's a dynasty within the Moorish kingdom, the Almohads. The Almohads came in and got rid of the Jews. Well, the Almoravids, who were there before them, had a tolerance with the Jews. Okay, so Islam is not totally off the hook here, but my point is, this is a highly advanced civilization that promotes learning. And I'm like, yo, man, the Alhambra is one of the illest things, because we're talking about building a culture where, yo, you teach this, oh, you interested in this, you can teach that, you teach this. Like, bring all of the world sciences and try to collage them and create a civilization that is based off integrity, that's based off morals, that's based off of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, right? This is a phenomenal culture. So anyway, so within this era of time, something is birthed called the Zohar. The Zohar is an essential text of Kabbalah. Kabbalah is basically an esoteric looking into the Bible and understanding the many mysteries that's inside of there. So now the question is asked, is astrology in the Bible? Is astrology in the Quran? Okay, all right, cool, let's do it. So let's deal with the Old Testament, since this is the first of the Abrahamic religions to come to the Jews. Okay, so in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. The heavens is Shamin, and this word right here literally translates to mean astrologers. Now, let's go to the New Testament in Greek. The New Testament says, hey, the three wise men found the Christ. The three wise men, the Magos, also known as the Magi, translate to mean what? Astrologers. Whoa. So we got astrology in the very beginning, astrologer in the very beginning. In fact, in the beginning, God created the heaven. Heaven is astrologer. So in the beginning, God created the astrologer, the one who had knowledge of this. This is important, okay? And then later in the Old Testament, you telling me that the astrologers found the Christ. Here's the kicker, and this is why it's not astronomy. Because astronomy, the astronomer does not make it his business to understand anything of the celestial sphere, and is having a potential influence on individuals and situations. They don't do that. That's what the astrologer does. The astrologer is the only person on the planet whose profession is to understand heavenly rotations and equate them to an influence on a situation and or individual. Now, let's go to the New Testament and look at the word for heaven. Yes? Okay. So, for this word heaven, and you see the word Uranus in it, right? Uranus, okay? Uranus is Uranus, okay? And you will see that it says literally, right? Referring to the impact, right, of heaven's influence on what? A situation or individual. So in the New Testament, they're telling you literally heaven is described as having an influence on situations and individuals. But the pastor don't say that. The rabbi is not saying that. The imam in Islam is not saying that. Okay? And so now the ones who really understand the esoteric truth of these stories, these lights, you understand? Or the esoteric truth of the light, okay, are the ones who have to tell you. And this has always been the thing. In Islam, it's the Sufis that get more into mysticism. In Judaism, it's the Kabbalists who get more into esotericism, right? In Christianity, it's the Gnostics who were more on the esoteric plane, okay? So your regular believer, i.e. in religion, they do not get into the esoteric study. Now, I'll close with this. In the Holy Quran, it is said that God is the maker of the 7 universes and a similar number of earths. Now, I'm gonna just tell you, they can't be, I don't care if you say it's a gazillion and one universes and you really can quantify it as a gazillion and one. What are those gazillion and one universes sitting in? Because all that sits in, that's the universe. The universe is the the sum total of every single thing that is in creation. That's the universe. And the moment that you say that the universe has an edge, then what's that outside the universe? That defeats the purpose of a universe. And that means the universe is sitting in something. And so then what is that something the universe is sitting in? The universe can't sit in anything. The universe has to be what we call infinite. You understand that? Okay? Now, this verse says, okay, well, I created the 7 universes, the 7 earths, similar number of earths. Now, you know it ain't no 7 earths, but there are 7 visible planets with the naked eye. It's sort of like an earth because it's a planet. Yes, today is Sunday, the day of the sun. Tomorrow's going to be Monday, Moon Day, the day of the moon. Yesterday was Saturday, day of Saturn. You get my point. Okay, so this is the 7 heavens right here. Okay, now the scripture goes on to say, and God's command descends from them. Whoa, God's command descends from these 7 universes and 7 earths? What do you mean? And then guess what? Here's the beautiful part about it. This is gonna blow your mind. The chapter that this is revealed in is chapter 65, right? I think it's called what? Talak, if I'm not mistaken. But in English, it's called divorce. Whoa, and it's the last verse. And the last verse is verse 12. 12 constellations. The Quran says, as far as God is concerned, the months are 12. That's what it says. The months are 12. And 4 of them are sacred, which I'm going to get into at a later point. But 4 of them are sacred, but the months are 12. So the months are 12, okay? All right. So in the last verse, the 12th verse, you mean to tell me that you're telling me that your God's command comes from the 7 heavens and the 7 universes? So if this is in divorce, then you have to ask a logical question. Well, can I avoid divorce if I understand this law? Should I get married if I understand these commands? Is compatibility even a thing that can be factored by these commands of God that comes from the universe and these 7 earths? It has to be. That's why it's there. You see? And mathematically put there on purpose. Okay? And so from the Bible to the Quran, especially the Quran, yes, astrology is inside of both of them. But as the Quran says, and I'm going to paraphrase, that the heavens, to understand the signs of the heavens, is for men and women. Don't say women, but men. And when I say men, I'm saying mankind, right? This is for men and women of understanding, okay? Because this ain't for everybody. Everybody just not gonna get it, okay? But it's right there in these holy books, okay? All right, so listen, man, hope you enjoy. Hey man, get on this Patreon. Click, get on this Patreon. Go to the shop tab. Our papers, it helps our ministry out. Our papers are only $5, only $5. The ones that say visuals are actual PowerPoints, okay? All of them are visuals, but you know, some of them got later converted to more PowerPoint style and whatnot. But check them out, they only $5. Join our community, man. Everybody's saying good morning and cheering each other on. We actually about to have in August, we're about to have a bike challenge where we're just going to ride our bike and focus on becoming more healthier all August. We're gonna sweat it out in August. We're gonna get it in, baby. Last month of summer, we're gonna get it in, sweat it out, and then we're gonna post right here in the daily wins and accomplishments chat every single day, just making ourselves a better version of ourselves from the previous day, okay? And so of course we do a lot of stuff inside the Patreon, too much to name, man, but click the button, subscribe, get on over here, man. And oh, when you come in, the papers are absolutely free. You get access to them, download them, keep them, they're yours and whatnot. But beautiful stuff, man. So we'd love to have you, and see you next time, all right?